Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Mafex Batman Hush Joker, Batman Hush version. And I realized the other day I said I've reviewed all the Hush figures now other than Hush, and I'm gonna be done because I don't care at all about Hush. I think he's boring. I forgot to do Joker, so here's Joker. I also didn't review the black Batman. Never got one. I need to get one. I thought I had one, but I don't. So yeah, finally, here's Joker. This is the only... Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the only import comic style Joker. And that's why I wanted to review it, because it might be the only one that gets made. That seems unlikely, but it might be. You might need to pick this up to add to your collection, even if you're not a Hush person. So, there's some good, there's some bad, maybe it'll be worth getting. Let's get it off to the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. It is the standard Hush packaging, not the most interesting, but probably good enough. It does show the figure front and center, I like that. Photo there is fine, window at the top is good, more photos around, nothing super dynamic or crazy. It is a very basic figure, so this is going to be probably one where it's like, unless you really like the way it looks, you probably want to wait to get it at a lower price if you can. But it is in stock at Big Bad Toy Store if you want to get one. It's not a bad figure. In fact, I do think it's one of Mafex's better Hush figures. But I want to talk about this briefly. A lot of the Hush figures, particularly the ladies, have not gotten very good reviews from me, and that's because Mafex has improved dramatically in making their figures. A lot of these came out a while ago, and their newer figures put these to shame. They're just not as good as they could be, especially at the higher price point that Mafex commands. Even if you get them in Japan, guys, after shipping and everything, the price isn't that much different, and that's based on currency conversion. So anyway, the Mafex figures are older, and they're not as good. And I don't have a Batman to compare this guy against, but I do have, or a Mafex or Hush Batman, but I do have this one. So if you're like me and thinking about mixing the two, it's probably gonna be okay, but they're definitely in a different style. The Hush figures are kind of muted colors compared to the other ones, so it doesn't look exactly like you would want it to look, but it's probably okay if you really wanted to do that. But I'm still hoping for another Joker, and we'll get into in a minute why that is. So this guy stands about 6 1/4 inches, not counting his hair. That's going to be about 16 centimeters. You saw him against that Batman. Here he is up against Darwin. Darwin is about the same height, really. And so, question of the day. What do you guys think about the Hush designs? Are they too muted and specific looking to mix with the other characters? Other versions of characters? Or are you okay with it? For me, some of them work, some of them don't. Joker's somewhere in between, I think. So let's get into the aesthetic on this guy. He is very dark. He's not a very vibrant purple, not a very vibrant green, not a very vibrant yellow. And as I was saying, the older figures just don't have the same level of quality as the newer ones. If you look at the yellow on the upper part of his torso up here, you can see a lot of green poking through, and it just doesn't look very good. You won't notice it too much probably, but it's not great looking. I do love the overall finish on the figure, being a flatter finish, and there is shading throughout the purple, so that looks really nice. I like the gloss on the shoes. That's good. The shoes overall look a little bit weird, but overall they look okay, I guess. And the details are okay. Like the flower, that's fine. I think what is really good about the figure, and also unfortunate, is the head sculpt. The sculpt and paint look really good. I like it a bunch. And I get why they made his head so big, but I don't think it was the right call. It looks big in some panels, but in other panels it definitely doesn't. His head does not look gigantic a lot of the time. And he's very skinny too, which is fine for Joker in general, but this particular combination of skinny with the big head, it's not quite right, and for me, that's why I'm still holding out hope for another Joker. I don't think this is the one I want to keep permanently in my collection, unless it's the only one they make, because it's fine, but there's a weird proportioning thing going on. There is a wash in the hair that looks pretty good, but it's just not quite there for me. But it doesn't look bad at all, and for a Hush Joker, I think it's solid. I will go 8. No, I'm going to go 7. I don't like the way this is messed up, and the big head is weird to me, though you can probably ignore it once you pose him. It's just not quite where it needs to be. The Mafex figures just aren't there, unfortunately. Mostly. Some of them are great, some of them aren't. Okay, so as far as accessories go, we do have the two heads. The laughing head is awesome. They did do a really good job on the head sculpt and paint. It's just a little bit too big, but that's very nice. Then you get a spread of hands, probably everything you need, and then a knife. That's it. I don't think that's enough accessories. He's got all kinds of different things he could have included. They could have included, but they didn't. So I'm gonna go. I mean, it's fine. So 7, but you definitely could have gotten a lot more out of this guy. All right, time for the articulation. He's got the double ball peg as normal, and then the neck moves on a ball peg as well. He has less range than most, and his chin is obviously going to get in the way, but it'll be okay. You'll be fine. You'll be able to pose him. If his head wasn't overly gigantic, that would help. And also, his bow tie thing right here, mixed with the big head and chin. Be very careful for paint transfer. You're going to have a lot of green on that white chin if you're not careful. All right, for the shoulders, obviously the jacket is going to be a problem, and we have like a butterfly thing in there to try to account for it. And it moves a little bit technically, but let me see if this is going to work this way. I'll make it a little bit brighter. Just don't look at his face. It moves a little bit in there, so that's fine. Like, it's not going to be the worst thing you've ever seen, but moving the arm around inside the jacket, also, I'm getting a lot of resistance. You're going to have to lube this guy's shoulders, probably. Oh, yeah. It's not bad. Like, the hinge is fine, but you're going to have to really play around with it to get the shoulders where you want them to go in a good way. It's a little bit cumbersome. Double jointed elbow is fine. Not the best range, though. There's no reason he should be that limited. So that is not good. Ball hinge wrists are fine. The torso is not bad. You get a lot of range out of the lower torso. The upper torso is kind of, well, you could do that. It's a little ball peg. Or the peg is short and the balls aren't that big, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to do the upper torso. It doesn't have a ton of range. You're going to do most of it out of the lower, which is not the worst thing in the world. Like, it's definitely going to pose, but it's not going to be as fun to pose as the newer releases. So be aware of that. It works fine. Don't get me wrong, it works just fine. Their newer figures just have higher polish, higher engineering quality, things like that. Alright, for the hips, they go out to the side, no problem at all, no real crotch nuggets. What the heck? There's green paint on the inside of my jacket. I doubt that's accurate. Is there some scene where he's got green on the inside of his coat? I doubt it. Scene, panel, whatever you call them. I don't think so. I think mine's just messed up. Weird. Alright, but the hips work. They are drop downs, unfortunately, still, but they do work for him very well in this case. So you can get him in some crazy leg poses. His arms probably not so much, but his legs work pretty well. Like I said before, like in every Mafex video, I don't like drop downs. They are typically a problem when it comes to the engineering, but Mafex does a good job of doing a drop down, so that's alright. Thigh swivel is next to nothing. Single jointed knee, I'm sorry. Single jointed knee, not the best looking thing, not the best range. It's just pretty basic. And then for the ankles, you get really limited range because of the pants, so that kind of sucks. They'll be okay, but not for any crazy dynamic poses where his feet have to be on the ground. So yeah, he's fine. Like a lot of the Mafex Hush figures, it's fine. It's not impressive. It's perfectly acceptable. A certain level of finish that you would expect from Mafex at this time period, it would have been good. But compared to their newer figures, it's not good enough. Their paints have improved dramatically, and so is their engineering, really. Since this figure came out. But it's good enough. I'll give the articulation, I'll say 7. The shoulders are still kind of limited, but not the worst thing. So I guess 7, given the character design. Okay, time for the final verdict on this release. There's lots of room for improvement. I'm sure their next Joker is going to be much, much, much better than this. But this is perfectly adequate. And at the time it came out, when everybody was accepting Mafex for having bad paint jobs, like the vest or like the shirt under the vest, things like that, it was a strong release then, I'm sure. It's still okay now. I'm going to give it an overall rating of 7. It's not a special figure in any way. It is just a solid Joker figure with a slightly big head and not the best level of finish. But it's good enough, probably. I mean, I'll happily have it in the collection until they make a better one, but it's not remarkable. So there it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but that's it for me. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos every single day, and I do have thousands of videos already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.